Hey, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm your host, Mike Brewer, 31. For those of you who tried to watch the truck video I recorded earlier today for NASCAR, I apologize for some of the sound that wasn't working. Rechecked everything. I know it's working now. Um, so apologize for that. So if you did try to watch that video, go back to the channel around 7 o'clock. Check out that video. I will either post the finalized sheet for you there or I'll do a short. So apologize for that, but we're on to baseball today. And as you look at the screen here, you see a lot of blue, which means rain. I kind of touched on in yesterday's video that East Coast, this whole weekend, there's a low pressure system that's just going to dump rain over and over and over again. So the good news is it's a 10-game slate, and there should be enough out there that it's not going to wipe out like some of the best matchups and things. Like there's still some good pitchers out there. There's still some really good hitting situations. There's still some good hitting and pitching situations in the blue, but we'll talk about that and try to sort it out. So let's get started. So the first game, which is potentially one that could get rained out, is in Baltimore. We're looking at a 75% chance of rain throughout the whole period of the game today. So that's not boding well. If it does play at 77 degrees and the wind slightly blowing out 6 miles per hour. So we have Logan Gilbert and Kyle Gibson. And Gilbert's a great pitcher. He's been struggling a little bit. Baltimore's got a good offense. Still missing a couple parts in Mountcastle and Mullins. But Mullins would have been great there because he's a lefty. On the other side, Kyle Gibson had an okay season. Seattle does strike out a lot, so not somebody I'd love to play, but I think hopefully they got all their hits out yesterday against the Yankees. Pretty an amazing game. I just think that's more the result of the Yankees being that bad versus Seattle being that good, although they did show potential early in the season. Have kind of faded recently. Anyways, bottom line of this game, Gilbert and Gibson both in play. Gilbert's probably third favorite if the game plays, just because the matchup's a little bit better than the other two. But with the weather, I don't think I'm touching him. Gibson, same thing. If the game does look it's going to be okay. If you want to take a shot on him in GPPs for some K upside, he's not a huge K pitcher. 8-1, I think there's much better plays. So bat wise, I just threw him in the 150 max. If you want to stack, throw a Seattle stack in 150 max and a Baltimore stack, do not take one-offs. It's all or nothing. In fact, stack the whole game bat wise and then take two pitchers. And then if for some reason they don't play, then all your bats, you can just eliminate them and then fill in with somebody else. I do like how FanDuel does it though, because DK, you're kind of screwed if the game, if hit lock and then it's rained out afterwards. FanDuel opens it back up, which is awesome. So you always keep that in mind that you can go and replace as long as there's games still playing that haven't locked. And that happened with me the other night when New York and Philly got rained out. It was only on FanDuel, but it's really nice because I had about 3 or 4 other games that I could just throw on there, just clear out my guys and put in guys that were going to play. And it worked out pretty well. Next up, we have the Rangers and the Yankees. This one's a little bit better. It looks like 40% chance of rain, then moves to a 60% chance of rain, then back to a 40% chance of rain. So don't know what's going to go on here. Winds blowing in 9 miles per hour. Yankee Stadium, 74 degrees. Dane Dunning, there's no total on it because we've seen Severino and we've seen Clark Schmidt. I don't want either one of them. That's why I just put New York in no interest. It's not an opening situation. It's just I don't care who the Yankees pitcher is. It's not Garrett Cole. It's not Roger Clemens. It's not Mike Messina, like some of the great guys that they've had in the past, David Wells. So as long as it's none of those guys, then don't want them against this Texas offense. So it's absolutely outstanding. Looking forward to this series. I think they're going to put up a lot of runs. Hopefully they can play a couple games here because, again, the weather looks bad all weekend. Dan Dunning doesn't get strikeouts. I mean, the Yankees have not been great recently. I thoroughly expect that Boone gets fired, and I don't know, maybe they'll bring back Girardi or something like that. But I think they definitely need new leadership here. It's a ton of it's coaching. It's the old guys have gotten old. It's that Judge and Stan, and some people just can't stay healthy for a full season. I mean, Judge did pretty well last year, but the previous ones, he's always been out with something. And then it's just the young guys are young and just not quite there and consistent yet. So that's the Yankees in a nutshell. But anyways, as for this game, Dunning and Schmidt, not interested in. Texas, if they play, I'll definitely have a stack. And the Yankees, like, this is a shocker. I actually had to put them in the cheap category against Dunning here, because looking at their pricing, Torres at 5-1 is the most expensive guy here. Rizzo's down to 4K. Stanton's at 4.9, but Donaldson's at 3.3, leading off Bowers at 2.7. McKinney's been hitting really, really well, is at 2.5. Bader looks like he might be back at 3.9. Writing right. I don't like that. Trevino catchers 2.4, and Volpe's down to 3.4. So very, very affordable stack to make against Dunning if this game does play. Next up, another weather game. The Mets and Philly, and this one doesn't look good either. Like 75 to 80% chance of rain all game long. Senga against Walker. I mean, I think Senga would be my 5th favorite pitcher, because Philadelphia, this is a park upgrade for them. The wind's blowing out 76 degrees, and they can absolutely destroy you, but they can also strike out. So I think Senga's in play in GPP, but I'm not paying 10-2. It's just such a high price for him. Walker on the other side has pitched pretty well. Mets have struggled, especially against, I think they're better against left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. So he's in play, but again, the weather just kind of scares me here. 7.7 is a decent price, but there's a pretty high total on both sides at 4.75. So both teams are stackable, but Philadelphia is so expensive. You're going to be playing like garbage pitching probably to get the stack in. Like you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys like 5.5 or higher, like Harper 6K, Realmuto's 5.5, Schwarber 5.6, and he's been so inconsistent. Turner 5.8, again consistent. Castellanos is 4.3, but I mean it's righty there. And then like some of the other guys are 4K, and there's a couple 2K guys here, but I just don't know if you really want to play them. So don't even have a cheap catcher. Realmuto's 5.5, and that's a position you usually want to punt. So and Philly is just 150 max, probably GPP stack. I have him in the regular GPP against Senga because he has given up some power, but it's just so hard to fit him in. And the Mets on the other side, I think are just 150 max. So I truly think this game is going to wash out, and I think I've already spent too much of my time on it. So sorry about that. Next up, okay, now we finally come out but no, I'll go one more rain game and then we'll get out of it. So the next and final rain game is Milwaukee and Cleveland. Wade Miley and Bieber. Cleveland is horrible, so I think Miley's in play here. I think he's one of my favorite ones in the cheap here, because Cleveland, besides Jose Ramirez, really can't do anything. They're really bad against left-handed pitching. Most of their power comes from their lefties, and I just think that Miley, even though he's a bad pitcher, can do good enough at 7K to be an SP2 to get some the bats in. Bieber on the other side would be my 2nd favorite here, just because Milwaukee, again, has not been a great lineup. Here, maybe like Tellis, like Winker's back, but he really hasn't been as good as when he was in Seattle. Tapia, like, is a contact guy, no power there. Just really nobody. And the other ones like Contreras and Adames, who have some power, and even maybe like Urias and Miller have a little bit. It's righty on righty. So, and Bieber's been decent against righty. So definitely in play, but the weather, again, it's going to be about 80% chance of rain and then taper off. So this one might have a chance, but it might be a delay. Wind is blowing in, so that helps pitching also. But again, I just really don't think I want to wait around to see if the game's going to play. There are some more sure things here. Bat-wise, Milwaukee would be leverage against Bieber if the game plays, and in Cleveland would just be a cheaper stack too, because besides Maria's at 5.4, everybody else is in the 3K range. They're so easily to stack, but it's just hard to stack them too, because they're the way the lefties are mixed in. It'd be, you wouldn't have the splits advantage. It's hard to make a stack here. Fry the catcher I might take. He's in the game at 2K just because he's probably going to be the cheapest one on the board. So if you're looking for a punt and a one-off, that's probably the one that I'd be looking at. Okay, out of the rain games, onto games with no weather concerns. Oakland Athletics, Toronto Blue Jays, Kaprelian and Bassett. Kaprelian has been really good against right-handed pitching. He has really been bad against left-handed pitching. Blue Jays have only 2 or 3 left-handers. They have Belt, who is way over the hill and really doesn't have much pop left, even though he's like back up into the third. Varsheo, who came from Arizona, I think he was like a catcher. Now he's like outfield DH. He has cooled off a lot since he's come over and not has potential, but really isn't showing it. And Kiermaier is more of a contact, steal base guy at the bottom of the lineup. So there's really no lefty here that really scares me. Even the righties have been priced down a lot too. Like Vlad just hasn't been hitting with as much power as he has before. Bichette has been dealing with thumb issues. Springer's been inconsistent and had injuries also. Chapman's been out with injuries. Like, it's just like Toronto's doing okay. They're not doing as bad as the Yankees, but it's just not what we've seen in the past. Now, maybe as things heat up and if they get healthier, they can go on a run. Definitely, they have a 5.83 total. But I definitely like them as probably my third favorite stack, but not super impressed. But anyways, Kaprelian, I'm not playing. I'm going to put him in the fade list. If you're doing 150 max and all these games rain out and you need a cheap pitcher at 5.2 for 150 max, then keep him in your player pool, maybe 5%. I'm okay with that. Bassett, I think, is to be a high zone pitcher on the slate. He's had his inconsistencies, but he should have a really good matchup here. But the A's also could go out and absolutely feast on him, which we've seen that happen before. And with the A's going out and, having a pitcher like it happened the other day with the Cleveland guy that's coming up, that's supposed to be his first start, Williams, I believe it was. And the A's went out and put like up 4 or 5 runs early on. So Bassett could go either way. I think he's a good high owned, but I think Oakland is like an awesome leverage stack today. Okay, moving on. I keep on hitting the wrong button. Okay, Boston Red Sox and Chicago White Sox in Chicago. Wind blowing in slightly, 6 miles per hour here, so not a huge factor. Brian Bello, Luis Giolito. Bello has been erratic also as a young pitcher. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a really good fastball, and he's been really good against righties. And again, this is the same situation as Toronto. The White Sox don't have lefties that really scare you. They have Sheets, who is probably going to be free, about 2.2 in the outfield. Hits down in the lineup. Maybe he'll get a better spot today against Bello. And then you have Benetiende, who has always been more of like a contact guy who really isn't great. And Grandel's a switch hitter, but his home runs are maybe once a month or so, something like that. So nobody really scares me. So Bello, I really like here. I think he's a great price. And with all the questions with these top end pitchers, even if you want to get off of Bassett, Bello could be your SP1 or your SP2. Definitely a solid play here. Giolito, the Red Sox they're missing Verdugo. He's out on bereavement leave, I think. But they still have a lot of power and lefties in this lineup. And even Duvall hits both sides of the plate well, and Turner can also. So, and, it's a good hitting park here. I mean, even without the wind blowing out or anything. And Giolito's given up home runs on both sides of the plate. He's been good and bad. So 9.6 is just a scary price. Right, I take Bello on the other side. Giolito, I think, is in play with all the rainouts. But I definitely like Boston here, and they'd probably be my third favorite stack, because if Texas and Philly rain out, and they're much more affordable than Texas, or not Texas, but Philly also, and Texas is kind of high priced too. So definitely we'll have a Red Sox stack here. White Sox, I think they're cheap fill-ins again. Like, I'd probably just try to use Sheets, but like outfield spots with the top teams of the Angels and Padres, like, really doesn't leave you much to open. So I'll just have to see how that plays out. Okay, so speaking of the Angels, they go to Coors Field. Kyle Freeland, Patrick Sandoval. Sandoval I have again as a fade just because Coors Field, but the Rockies have been horrible. I mean, they do have some decent righties with power here. Wind is blowing in 12 miles per hour, but it's 82 degrees. So I have him as fade. He could be in play at 150 max again. I think he would be the same um, thing as I was talking about before, where I just have him like 5 to 10% in your 150 max, just to get maybe a little bit of exposure, because we have seen pitchers go out to Coors Field and actually shut down the Rockies. Freeland on the other side is definitely a fade, probably the worst choice on the slate. I think Angels righties are absolutely going to go off here, even though it's the first game of Coors. They have 630 total. They should be good. Ward should be leading off. Otani lefty and fine there. Trout, Drury, Renfroe is really good against left-handed. Pitching might get a cheap guy in Kevin Pergio here if he's in the lineup. If Luis Renfroe has been in there also. Chad Walsh, the catcher. Velasquez, I played a lot of him. He seems to be getting hits and getting on and scoring a bunch of points, and he's only 2.8. So there's 4 2K guys to mix into your stack here to make it work. But again, besides Trout and Otani, like Drury's 5K, Ward is 4.4. They're definitely reasonably priced here on DK, and it's very easy to get full Angel stack in and get decent pitchers. And you might be able to take like Bassett, Bello, Bassett, Musgrove. You might not have to pay down for an SP2 to make it work. Colorado on the other side would probably be my favorite GPP stack, just like the righties here. Profar, Tovar should be back from paternity leave, hitting second here. He's really come alive recently. Diaz will follow at catcher, usually pretty cheap. You just have to pick which one you want, but you're saving almost 1.1K if you just go down to him off of Diaz. Grichuk should have some power. It should come eventually. Doyle's been decent. Coco Montas is another prospect for second base, so just have to, you could probably make a relatively cheap Rocky stack, maybe even use a Rocky stack to fill in with your Angel stack to make it all work. Next up, we have Washington Nationals going to San Diego Padres, Patrick Corbin and Jake Musgrove. Corbin's always a no. Padres should absolutely destroy him. And Musgrove, I really like against this Washington offense here. It's a great park upgrade for him being at home here. And Washington only has a 2.94 total. I know that they have some bats that can potentially go off and hit and just like nickel and dime you to death, but I think that they're in this matchup, I really like Musgrove. So Padres, great pivot off the Angels. We'll have to see if Xander's back in. Yesterday, Kim led off. He actually had a home run. So definitely like him there if he Hae-Sung Kim, if he moves up in the lineup. Nelson Cruz is still hanging around there, still getting a couple hits. Sanchez had another home run yesterday. He's just like reinvented himself coming out to San Diego here in this lineup. So and of course, Tatis, Soto, lefty and lefty is fine. Machado, Xander, if he's back, I don't know where he's been. He just has been in and out of the lineup recently. Next, we have the Houston Astros and the Dodgers, JP France and Shaheen. France goes deep in the game, so he just doesn't have K upside. And just against this Dodger lineup, even though they're missing some parts, actually it looks like Max Muncy is going to be back. Peralta is back, so they're definitely starting to get healthier again. So definitely not looking at JP France. He'd be a fade here or no interest. And then Shaheen on the other side, I think is somebody that I really, really like against this Astros lineup. Without Alvarez in here, they've been really struggling recently. There's strikeouts. They're not as patient as they used to be. So Shaheen is definitely in play as a cheap pitcher here at 6.5. And might like him even more than Miley with the weather conditions there. So Dodgers definitely a fourth favorite stack against France here, and Houston just be a leverage stack against Shaheen, who I think will pick up ownership as an SP2 candidate. Final game, we have Arizona Diamondbacks and San Francisco Giants. We have Zach Davies and Logan Webb. Logan Webb is the highest priced pitcher. I don't understand. Arizona is a good offense. The wind's blowing out here. It's only 58 degrees, and again, wind in San Francisco isn't it like wind in other places, but still not going to be playing low with Webb. No interest. Too high of a price here against the great Arizona backs lineup. And Zach Davies on their side, not interested in either. So I think the Giants are definitely in play here. But again, like they get pinch hit for. So Wade, hopefully he's healed and will be back. Jock Peterson, Conforto, but again, they could get pinch hit for later on in the game. So, that hopefully they do all the damage early, or so I'd use them as fill-ins and not a primary stack if you're doing that. So Arizona probably be my second favorite GPP team against Webb. Like Perdomo's just been great leading off. Marte, Carroll, even if you just take those three and don't Alex Thomas, like Jake McCarthy, if you want to do like a wraparound thing there, that works too. I don't know if I get a full 5-man stack in, but definitely I play Arizona every single day. I'm still trying to figure out the perfect team to pair them with, just because their pricing has gotten so high. It helps a little bit more now that they have Perdomo as shortstop, because that was always the caveat. I couldn't find a team with a decent shortstop to pair with them. So I'm going to continue to work it out. Hopefully in a couple weeks, I'll be able to tell you who I'm consistently playing Arizona with every single slate. And it varies too, because I think I need to find like more of a West Coast team to pair with them, because they don't end up on the same slate sometimes, and that makes it hard to play also. So let's look at some builds, and I'll get you on your way for your Friday to start off your weekend. So again, I'm taking Bassett here. If you want to go Musgrove, no problem with that. If you think the A's could potentially get to him, and he's been up and down, but he's had better home splits and road splits, and he's at home, so that does bode well for him. Give me Fry catcher just to punt that. It's really cheap. Drury, you can use that first or second base here. I'll probably go Vasquez at shortstop to make the stack work. I just really like this guy, and he's come through for me to wrap around. Trout, and then Ward or Renfroe, and then you just have to decide if you want. You can play both of them, or throw Ohtani in there, or take a one-off. Like I said, the White Sox are cheap. Sheets there at 2-2 would work. I just kind of filled in. I didn't really have a strong stack to fill in here. I'm probably going to figure out who I want for the Angels, take the 5 that I want there, and then I'm just going to fill in with probably the highest point per dollar play that I feel for the rest of the positions, and just to round out the lineup. For SP2, probably going to look at Musgrove or Bello or Shaheen or Miley potentially. I think I'm limiting it down to those 4 for cash. For FanDuel, Musgrove or Bassett, whoever you want to pick there. Drury, Tovar I'm throwing in as a one-off here. If you want to throw in other course bats to make this work, then that I'm definitely okay with that. Or again, take some one-offs again, like a kind of the Yankees play, I kind of like them. The White Sox, if you can fit in like Berger or like I said, Sheets, or Berger's righty on righty, so I don't know with that. Again, I think I'll just probably not. I'm usually like 4-4 in stacks, or 4-3 with a one-off if I'm using the pitcher from one of the two teams. But here, I think again, I might just try to find like the settle on the pitcher, get my 4 solid Angels in there. I really want Tovar, and then I will just fill in teams from probably the top stack, whether it be like San Francisco, one-offs from Toronto, Dodgers, like whoever I can to make that work. GPP, Bello's my favorite pitcher, and again, you can pair him with Musgrove or Shaheen or Miley as your SP2. Catcher, might take Sanchez here, might take a Flalo in Coors, might take Fry again just as a punt, but I want to go Oakland, and Oakland has a catcher that usually hits in the middle of the lineup, so you might be consider him also. I think he's also a switch hitter. I mean, they've been using Langoliers a lot recently. See how they have projected for. Yeah, so he's okay. He's just weird, kind of disconnected from the rest of the ones. So, but anyways, catcher, whoever works there. But give me the 2 Oakland guys, just Noda and Ruiz, the right-hander who just seems to get on base against everybody. Noda's a switch hitter. If you want to go like Brown, then or Bidet, or if take a third one in Peterson, if Kim doesn't start there, but if not, just take one-offs, and then the priority San Diego here. So Kim, if he's leading off, that's fine. If not, then I'll probably, if Bogarts is in at shortstop, I'll probably go with him. Machado, Tatis, decide if you can get up to Soto. If you want Sanchez, you want to throw Cronenworth in there instead of Kim. There's so many different ways to go, but Bellows, the pitcher. The priority in the stack is San Diego, and I'm trying to get Ruiz and Noda in for Oakland. Same thing with FanDuel. Same exact thing. Same thought process there. It's Bello. I mean, if you want to go down to Shaheen, that's fine if you need more money, but I'm taking the 2 Oakland bats. I don't know if I'll go past that. Maybe I'll throw in another stack of guys that work in maybe it gets a couple Arizona guys in there. I could get like Perdermo and Marte in there, and then figure out what Padre I want left in my utility. Like if Kim's there, if Sanchez is there, I think they're only like $200 apart, and they both should work in that build. So what I got for the Friday. Again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up at Megaro31 on Twitter. If these videos help you, please help us back. Like the video, subscribe to our channel so you know when our videos are coming out, and share with your friends as we can see that data. And it is pretty impressive how many people have been sharing our videos. So really, really appreciate the viewership, the sharing, the support, the questions, the comments, even feedback. We'll take it and try to do better so we can get you out better information. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Good luck in your contest. If you want more information on FSi DFS, go to the description of the video. You can go to the website and see how to sign up for all our packages there. Really, really cheap, very affordable, and we try to do an excellent job for you, helping coach you one-on-one with any of your questions or lineup things. So we also cover all the showdowns, and the tiers for you too. So good luck in your contests. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll probably see you Monday or Tuesday for next video. I'll see you for NASCAR, for Xfinity, and for Cup. And till then, I'll see you next time.